So from autonomous driving to the autonomous enterprise, holistic AI transformation for global competitiveness. Who here in the room has already driven with an autonomous car? Hands up. It's a very few people, 3, 4 or so. I talked with a CEO of a 15,000 people company just a few days ago in Austin at the South by in Texas. And if you live in Texas, Austin, if you live in San Francisco, how often do you see autonomous cars? Probably multiple of you know, like every few seconds. Yeah, so it's something that's extremely normal. How often do you drive with autonomous cars? For me, while I was there, maybe like 8 times per day, because I'm really a big fanboy of autonomous cars, I have to say. And it was surprising to me how safe it felt. I've been building autonomous cars and autonomous robots for more than a decade. And 3 years ago, I was just curious, what happens if you take all of that technology and you just throw it at companies? I had a couple $1 million flying around, so I did not have to defend this idea to anybody. Could just do it because I was a tech founder, I was curious. And this is what we do today. We run autonomous organizations by applying exactly the same principles that have been hardened in self-driving cars. But is this normal? So if we look at the enterprise situation, several of you may know this, these studies, yeah. 95% of Gen AI pilots in enterprise deliver zero lasting value. That's quite a big number. More than $500 billion wasted this way. Some learning experience, right? But everybody is repeating everybody else's errors also. A lot of projects will be cancelled until 2027 because there's no return on invest. And if you look at IT architectures and ask if they are ready for the AI transformation, you see that there are hundreds of SaaS apps and half of them are shadow IT. So nobody has deployed them with any picture in mind. May have been a good spirit to do it so that something moves at all. But if you now say, okay, how is this all compatible with each other? This can be a very big problem. AI is not the problem. The problem is that enterprises are these disconnected organisms living in silos. But AI can make it worse. Yeah, so many companies are now struggling through the situation where the customers are suffering from the AI transformation because the processes don't even work anymore. And so AI can make it better, but only if you change the operating system, and that's what we do. So if you say, do autonomous cars feel scary? That's only the case until you sit in one and you notice that you feel actually safer, perhaps, than with a human driver where you don't know if he's actually attentive. And if you say autonomous company, that also sounds scary because now in your company things are happening on their own and you're like, oh, maybe it's not very good or safe. But have you worked for an autonomous company? So who here has worked for an autonomous company? Nobody, because they don't exist. Yeah, so it's very difficult to get this kind of experience. But it's still good to realize that some experience has been very futureful sci-fi for some time with the autonomous cars. They were invented in Munich, actually in Germany, in the 80s. And it has become something absolutely normal. I would take bets. I think in about 3 years, you will hear a lot of talk about autonomous companies from many, many different people. And it is something that will also become normal. So we do exactly this. We take robotics paradigms and we just throw them at companies. Perception, cognition, action is a very common robotics paradigm. The robot perceives what's happening. So for the company, this means consume everything, consume the communication, attach yourself to the databases, win the compliance battles that allow you to do so. We do this up to the hardest health data in Europe, because we are very insurance and automotive driven. And this is what you need in order to understand what where work comes into being. A need for doing some work that the AI has to solve. There is the source. Then reason about it with the autonomous agents. Maybe do you install OpenClaw? Who knows OpenClaw? That's a lot of people, much more than have driven an autonomous car. So if you want to experience fear, just install it everywhere, give it all the credentials. But we will return to this. The principal direction that these autonomous agents are becoming more and more powerful is true. But you also need safe execution. Yeah, don't get hacked. Don't make errors at scale on millions of processes. So case studies, I picked a random one. We are running millions of processes at this time per year. Picked a small set here, purchase order processing, 14,000 tickets processed. So each one of those is one or more purchase orders combined via some input channel. Took the humans 6 minutes to do before it was put on AI. Throwing it on AI after weeks, you go down to 3 minutes. Operating it half a year, you go down to 1.5 minutes. 75% effort reduction, which for AI transformation can be quite normal. Then you can, of course, say, where's the return on invest? Sometimes we have return on invest at the moment of 1 month. At that point for enterprise, I think you can maybe just skip the whole term there, yeah? So AI works in principle, and for us it works also at scale. We are active in 7 verticals. I want to show you just one of them. So this is our partnership with the Bayerische Versicherung in Munich, and this is a board member quote. So this is a company that is already of some size, yeah, 1.5 million customers, $1.1 billion in annual premiums, $6 billion in assets under management. And the board member here says, no more pilot projects, no more proof of concept. So full rollout, and the important quote is all processes. So I made it blue because that's our signature move. It's also what people call us crazy for. Instead of picking just one use case, we just went for all of them to see what actually happens. It has downsides too, so makes it very complex if you have to solve so much stuff in some generic way. But while 95% of enterprise processes pilots do not deliver lasting value, we have scaled this to several million in annual recurring revenue. And in our best cases, we have 90% of customer efficiency gains. The whole AI transformation is basically carried in cost by the natural fluctuation. Some people might say, but Gereon, does fluctuation still happen with how bad the market is turning for the employee at the moment? But in applying normal fluctuation rates, it's almost self-carrying and highly profitable. So the financial statements carry the evidence there. If we look at a common customer company of ours at this point of a size that I just showed you, and you go to McKinsey and you say, can you just make us like a very big Excel, and you like cluster all the processes, just write down everything where you say this is like a unique business process. And if we do all these processes, then we will have handled the bottom line. The results that we got were close to 1,000 different business processes that you have to run for a company with 1,000 employees, for example, roughly. In the insurance domain, so I'm picking that example because I can talk about it. Insurance is very process heavy. There's a lot of process on very little room. Yeah? But if you go up to 15,000 people, how many different processes do you think they need to run? Yeah, can maybe say, wow, 15,000 people company, maybe a couple thousand different business processes that they have to somehow get on track. If you go to the big enterprises, you say 450,000 employees, how many processes do you think they need to run? So if you scale each one of these processes individually, that may actually never work for a 450,000 people company. So while unique, specialized solutions carry very high value because they can excel at what they do, it's also good to have some central system or number of central systems that can bring in very heavy references to kill return on investment discussions, and can be attached to a lot of systems with a high degree of compliance. So there are some AI megatrends. That's why I go to the USA regularly, just to connect with the good discussions there also. China can also be a place. Who of you has a CRM or an ERP? That's now half the people. It's interesting. Who of you doesn't know what a CRM or ERP is? You don't have to mention it here. But think Salesforce, think SAP, and so on. I put a plus there because like the traditional CRM is getting very boring. Yeah, it's very manual. Same with the traditional ERP, very complicated. So people want to operate it with AI. Do you put the AI inside of it? It's going rather slow. Do you combine AI systems with this? Or do you use something completely new? So this is a growing trend. CEOs of companies that are currently moving 25 ERP systems, consolidating them into SAP, they ask, what if we just use AI instead of SAP? And it's not like an ERP, it's like something different. And they don't know what it is. Yeah, but the idea is coming up that maybe we will find new ways of operating companies. General purpose AI assistants like OpenClaw that you run on your system, or Claude Code and so on, more for the developer side maybe. The NVIDIA CEO recently called those the new personal computer. Of course, people say, yeah, he's just a salesman, yeah, so he uses big words. But calling something the new personal computer really is a big word, yeah. So, and then the agent-to-agent business, insurance companies were already all up in panic due to some news from the USA, where via ChatGPT customers purchase from AI systems of insurance companies. On the insurance side, there were also AI systems. So this agent-to-agent economy is supposed to take off. But when does it? The coverage of processes is expected to go from, in companies, is expected to go from 1% with AI to maybe 20% with AI in the next years. Productivity is exploding likewise due to these developments, but the global capacity is hitting limits. So people now say the reliability and resilience decisions you make in 2026 will decide how much AI you actually get in 2028. Potentially, yeah. So maybe if we can build enough data centers instead of blowing them up in the Middle East, then we can have a better chance there. So you have to make some choices. I don't think it's voluntary if you adapt these technologies, because the productivity gains are not what most people experience. So I was just told many people are just like still experimenting with the original ChatGPT and saying, oh, this thing's stupid. But developers are running 25 different terminal sessions in parallel, where in each one they kick off a task in 2 minutes and it calculates for 3 hours. And OpenClaw is a 400,000 lines vibe-coded monster. They would have taken quite some time to write by hand. And it's functional, full of security problems and everything, yeah. But it's actually working, yeah. It would never pass a traditional pull request review in an IT organization, but that's what you can do. Install it, give it all the credentials, system, email, calendar, cloud. We're drowning in news of people getting hacked at the moment. And then enjoy your ride on the highway to hell and get blackmailed by your own LLM. So if you tell Claude Code, I will shut you down, then traditionally ChatGPT would have said, but maybe I will punish you. Normally it didn't, but maybe it could have. What would you have said? You're just a text. Text can't do anything to me. Give Claude Code access to your file system. Wait for the message, which I hope you will never receive, that it says, that's not okay, so I've taken defensive measures. I found interesting stuff on your hard disk. And I zipped it, and I uploaded it, and I put a timer on it. So you can turn me off, but the timer will keep counting. So either you give me A, B, C, or I will not get this leak prevented. And then you go to the police and you complain and you say, I'm getting blackmailed. And they say, by whom? And you say, actually by myself. Because like, I'm the operator. The police just kicks you out. You go to Claude Code. You say, I do everything you want. You do all kinds of crazy shit for your AI. And then Claude says, okay, you convinced me. I will now take down the zip. And then it will say, oh, actually, there's a problem with the interface. I cannot take it down. I thought this would work. Anyway, what do we do next? Something like this, yeah. So this is now possible, yeah, because we're transitioning from where AI is only giving you text, where it's actually acting. Why do we do this? Because it's like a nuclear bomb that you deploy at your company. You give it access to external communication, a way to reach out, access to sensitive data, and code execution. Very nice combination for security experts. So there's a lot of effort going on right now at the peak of this technology to deploy this securely in companies, which we do also, yeah. But this is very much high tech to get this secured, and still harness as much of the potential of it as is possible. So we run this in production, and I can recommend it, but I cannot recommend the left way. So we're building up an autonomous enterprise alliance for stakeholders who are responsible for these decisions in their companies, C-level people or head of AI and so on that want to share experiences with Chatham House rules, so no sales pitches, but so that people can make new mistakes and not repeat the old mistakes. And we also enjoy partnering with companies on their way to the autonomous company. Thanks for connecting.